Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 17 and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro and see which particular phone is the better one for you. Now, here's the thing. Both these phones are a little different, but they're both kind of, the 17 or the 11 Pro came out so many years ago. So is the older flagship better than a newer phone? Probably not. But if you want to go through and pick up either one of these particular phones or some phones I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these particular phones. The iPhone 11 Pro came out back in 2019, and this phone on the front side is giving you a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. And the panel itself is actually not too bad. I used this phone from like 2019 to about 2020, like 1 year, and it was a really good phone at the time. The panel itself still looks pretty good, but it is a 60 hertz panel. It doesn't get super bright, but that 60 hertz panel is kind of like, it's not the best looking panel anymore. You still have a notch, you still have more bezel on it with these curved sides, but really the panel itself lacking 120 hertz is kind of the biggest problem here in my personal opinion. The 17, on the other hand, is giving you a slightly larger 6.3-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. So this one is a bigger panel, right? It feels like it's not that much bigger because it is kind of flat-sided and less bezel on it. There's less bezel, so the screen is like pushed out to the max. Dynamic Island, 3000 nits of brightness, and a ProMotion 120 Hz display. This panel in real life definitely looks a lot better and smoother than the iPhone 11 Pro without a doubt. Now, for the rest of the bodies, one cool thing the 11 Pro had going for it were the colors and the stainless steel sides. So these reflective sides on the iPhone 11 Pro were really nice. I am obsessed with this gold color. You have the volume buttons right here, the ringer on-off switches, the action button here. Big difference, the iPhone 11 Pro is giving you a Lightning port. The iPhone 17 is giving you a USB Type-C port. So that is a pretty big difference there. You're probably going to be, preferring USB Type-C when it comes down to it. On the right side, you are getting this camera button on the iPhone 17. 11 Pro is giving you these, power buttons right up here, which is nice. You do get a SIM card tray on the iPhone 11 Pro, which can be a nice thing depending on who you are. So that is kind of a cool feature there. On the back side, interestingly enough, dual camera setup on the iPhone 17, triple camera setup on the iPhone 11 Pro. So that right there is also going to be a slight difference. You'd probably be safe to say that the iPhone 17 is probably going to be the nicer looking camera here, but the iPhone 11 Pro is giving you that additional telephoto lens that the 17 doesn't have, but it replaces that quite a bit on the 17, and we'll talk about it in a second. Both that wireless charging, 11 Pro does not have MagSafe where the 17 does. The iPhone 17 also has reverse wired charging. Not wireless, but reverse wired charging. So, I will say the iPhone 11 Pro color scheme and everything like that is nice on this type of phone, but I will probably tell you the iPhone 17 holds up a lot better than the iPhone 11 Pro on the exterior, but the 11 Pro still feels like $1,000 phone. Like, it's so crazy how expensive this phone still kind of feels. Now, when it comes down to price tag, the iPhone 11 Pro is basically going to cost you maybe like $200, maybe less than $300 conservatively for like a base end iPhone 11 Pro. The iPhone 17 is going to cost you about like $799 in the brand new market. Now, when it gets cheaper, then it'll get cheaper probably for both, but right now there's like a $500 difference between both these devices. So keep that in mind. Is the iPhone 11 Pro, is the 17 worth $500 more? It's kind of up to you how to think about it, but it is one of those things to think about. So let's go and do a speed comparison now between both these phones. The iPhone 11 Pro has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside with 4 GB of RAM. The iPhone 17 has that Apple A19 chipset inside with 8 GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one's a faster phone between both. Okay, there we go. All the applications are cleared out in the background. 11 Pro is on the left, iPhone 17 is on the right. And we'll just kind of start off with opening up applications. Now they're both on iOS 26, and just from even that first portion right there, the 17 was giving me kind of like a faster experience, but even let alone like the app opening and how fast they open and stuff, the big difference I'm already seeing is that 60 hertz versus 120 hertz. That is going to be one of the big, takeaways you're going to be kind of experiencing here. So if you're kind of taking a look at both these types of devices, you're definitely going to notice that something like an iPhone 11 Pro with that 60 hertz display it glitches up a lot more. I mean, you can even kind of see as I'm scrolling through here, I'm filming in like 30 frames per second, so you might not be able to tell, but definitely without a doubt, the iPhone 11 Pro does glitch up a lot, and that's what happens when you get a 60 hertz screen. So let alone the actual speed difference, you're going to be noticing differences in terms of the 60 hertz versus 120 hertz. But if you are not comparing them side by side, you would probably still think that both these phones, like I think you would still imagine that the iPhone 11 Pro is still a pretty fast phone, and it is for how old it is. And even for it being like a 6-year-old phone, like it actually is still pretty fast. Like I'm having like a pretty decent time with it. I would say when you start loading up these bigger types of applications and these bigger types of games, that's probably when you're going to start noticing like bigger types of differences, like situations like this. Now the iPhone 11 Pro had that downloading config thing that usually happens in Temple Run 2, but even at that case, like it's going to still perform a much better experience on the iPhone 17, as it should. You're spending $800 here. This one's like not even 300. Like you can see like glitches like that tend to happen in the beginning. The iPhone 11 Pro is going to be giving you a much better type of it's going to be giving you a good experience for how old the phone is. But the iPhone 17, there's really not really any competition. The iPhone 17 is going to be a consistently pretty fast phone that you can use over and over again. And you can even see right there, I mean, that was a pretty big difference in and of itself. So even getting into these games, there's going to be little glitches like that that are expected in the beginning. Even that, when you're kind of scrolling through the UI, there's so many random more glitches that kind of end up happening. We didn't even load up that many applications, and still something like an iPhone 17, I mean, it's definitely going to blaze in terms of performance on the iPhone 17, where the iPhone 11 Pro is definitely going to take its time. So from a performance perspective, I'll definitely tell you, almost in every single way, the iPhone 17 is going to be significantly faster. The 11 Pro is still pretty fast for how old it is, but the 120 hertz on the 17, the extra RAM definitely shows on a phone like the 17 without a doubt. Now, when it comes down to their cameras, they're both giving you a little bit of a different camera layout. The 11 Pro and the iPhone 17 both give you 4K at 60 on the front and the back, but this 11 Pro does give you an additional camera, but it isn't necessarily as crazy big of a difference as you think. This one's giving you 10x zoom. Keep that in mind. You're also getting 0.5x zoom here. You have video mode, photo mode, slow mode, time lapse. You are missing center stage, cinematic mode, dual capture. You're missing those things on the iPhone 11 Pro, and the photos on the iPhone 17 are going to feel significantly better. With something like an iPhone 17, this camera is definitely going to be a way better one, and you have that camera button on the side too, which is actually really nice. Now, with this one, you still get 10x zoom and 0.5x. So even though you get that additional camera on the 11 Pro, you still basically get the same amount of zooming in and zooming out. Now, the camera quality on the iPhone 17 is going to be much nicer as well. You're getting video mode, cinematic mode, slow mode. You're getting a lot of cool features on the iPhone 17, some that don't even come on the iPhone 11 Pro, like cinematic mode, like center stage capability, like dual capture, as well as the camera quality being significantly better as well. This is definitely going to be the camera I would highly recommend more people to buy. I think a phone like the iPhone 11 Pro is still doing pretty good. You know, I think this is still a really nice phone for the most part. But if you are about to go through and, pick up a device or use a phone, I think a 17 is a really good phone. I think for $800, it's not a crazy bad deal. But I would say if you're upgrading from an iPhone 11 Pro, let's say you currently own something like an iPhone 11 Pro and you're planning on upgrading, I think going from an 11 Pro to a 17 is a big upgrade. But you can also go from an iPhone 11 Pro to like an iPhone 14 Pro that costs like less than $500, buy a 14 Pro and still get a really big upgrade as well. You can buy an iPhone 15 Pro for like $600 and get a really good, upgrade as well. So you don't have to spend $800 or almost $900, like $850 on an iPhone, 11 or iPhone 17. You can spend, like $500 on an iPhone 14 Pro or 15 Pro and get a really big upgrade as well. So hopefully that answers this question. That's basically how both these phones kind of compare. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.